Otherwise, we'll get started with our floor and core class. So I'll get you lying down as we normally do on your back and just starting to engage your pelvic floor. Just taking in some nice deep breaths. And just lifting and lowering the pelvic floor. All right, well, we want to start off with our first exercise is keeping your pelvic floor engaged while we're doing our one-legged stretch. So just keeping your foot a few centimeters up off the floor, stretching out as far as you can, and then controlling that leg back together. Making sure the other leg is nice and controlled and isn't wobbling side to side. Your pelvis is nice and controlled, and you have a little gap between your lower back and the floor as well. So just stretching out and controlling back. Now, when you're coming down, you don't want to overextend through your stomach, so you want to keep your ribs nice and soft so that you're completing all the control with your lower abdominals. Just stretching that leg out nice and controlled and coming back together. And the other leg. Straightening that knee, coming back together. And again, the first leg, straightening that leg out, coming back together. And the other leg, nice and controlled, and coming back together, making sure you're not touching the floor. And again, stretching that leg out as far as you can go, and coming back. And the other leg, stretching that leg out, and controlling it back together. 2 more times on each side, stretching that leg out, coming back together again, keeping nice good control of your abdominals. 1 more time on each side, stretching that leg out and coming together. And the other leg and coming back together. All right, so just relaxing your pelvic floor in through here, taking in some nice deep breaths. All right, so from here, we're going to go to our slightly harder level of our one-legged stretch. So we're just bringing our leg into tabletop and then stretching that leg out and then back into tabletop and then back down to the floor. So it's tabletop, stretch it out, tabletop, and back to the floor. Now, when you're stretching your leg out, you want to make sure that your thighs are in line with each other so that your leg isn't too low down and is also not too high up. So once again, tabletop, stretching the knee, straightening the knee, tabletop, and down. And the first leg, tabletop, stretch, tabletop, down. And the same pointers for this one as well, making sure your pelvis is nice and stable, that you're keeping your pelvic floor engaged, and that you're controlling all the movements nicely. So tabletop, stretch, tabletop, down, and again, tabletop, stretch, tabletop, down. And again, tabletop, stretch, tabletop, down. And again, tabletop, stretch, tabletop, down. And the other leg, tabletop, stretch, tabletop, and down. We're going to do this another 3 times on each side. So tabletop, stretch, tabletop, and down. Tabletop, stretch, tabletop, down. Nice and control of your pelvis, keeping your pelvic floor engaged. Tabletop, down. Tabletop, stretch, tabletop, down. Last time on each side. Tabletop, stretch, tabletop, down. And again, tabletop, stretch, tabletop, and down. Good. Nice deep breath in here, relaxing your pelvic floor. Okay, we're going to come up into our single knee fall outs. So nice control of the pelvis. We're going to let one leg fall out to the side, and then we're going to control it back together. And again, the other leg falling out to the side and controlling it back together. And again, the first side, nice and controlled, keeping your pelvic floor engaged. If you lose it at any point, it means you're going too far out, and controlling it together. And the first leg out and controlling that back together. Okay, so we're going to move on to our 4th rep and control it back. And the other leg out and control it back. Number 6, let that leg fall out, controlling it back. And the other leg out and controlling it back. Number 7, letting that leg fall out and coming back together. And the other leg and controlling it back together. Number 8, letting that leg fall out and together. And the other leg and together. 2 more. Number 9. And the other leg out and together. Last one on each side. Letting that leg fall out, controlling it back, and the other leg out, and controlling it back. Good. Nice deep breath in through here. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to do our double leg hip twist. So you want to bring your arms out to either side of you. And we're going to bring our knees and our feet together. And we're going to let our knees fall together to one side. And we want our head to come to the opposite side. And as we bring our knees back up, our head comes back to midline. And then we're letting the knees fall out to the opposite side, and we'll let our head come down as well. And then we control our legs back up as our head moves back too. And again to the opposite side. And back to midline. Good. And again off to the other side. Your head goes to one side, your knees go to the other side. And coming back to the middle. Keeping your knees and your ankles touching. And again to the other side. And coming back together again. We're going to do the same on the right. Coming back down. And coming together again. And the same on the other side. And pulling together towards the middle. And the other side. And together again. And the opposite side. And together. We're going to do this again one more time on each side, letting your legs pull out to one side, your knees and your hips, your knees and your ankles touching. And then coming back to the midline. And then bringing your head off to the other side. Legs down, head down. And controlling it back again to the middle. All right, so you want to take some nice deep breaths in through here. Let your pelvic floor relax. All right, we're going to move on to some very light crunches. So what I want us to do is we're going to do some nice control at our arms. So we want to bring our arms overhead. As I'm bringing my arms overhead, I don't want my ribs to be flaring up. So I don't want this massive gap between my back and the floor. I want to keep contact of my upper back and just my shoulders only moving down. And then they come up. As they come up from the middle of your body and they start to come down towards your knees, I want you to lift your head up and start to use your upper abs and then come back, curling back down to the floor and your arms in that starting position. So your arms come up overhead, keeping your ribs nice and soft, not allowing them to flare. Then bringing the arms back up to midline. And as they pass the midline and come down towards your knees, you lift your head and your chest up off the floor. And then you curl back down. And again at starting position. So again, coming up above your head, keeping your ribs soft. And then coming back to the midline. Down towards your knees, lifting your head and your upper chest off the floor. And again, coming back with your arms. And back to starting position. Arms again, overhead. Nice controlled movements, only at the shoulders. Coming back to the middle. Then lifting your head, neck, and upper chest. And coming back down to the beginning. We're going to do this another 3 times. Arms overhead. Nice and controlled. Coming back to the middle. Down to the knees. Head and chest lift off the floor. And back to starting position. And again, arms overhead. Coming back to the midline. And then the head and chest come up off the floor with your arms. and curling back down to that starting position. One more time. Arms come down overhead. And then nice and controlled. Back to the midline. Down towards your knees. Head and chest come up. And slowly curl back down. All right, taking in a nice deep breath here and letting your pelvic floor relax. All right, so we're going to do the same exercise, but we're going to do it in the tabletop position. So you want to float both of your legs up so that you're in that double tabletop, keeping a little bit of a gap between your knees. And we're going to start off again, keeping our knees in that position. So our arms come up above our head, not allowing ourselves to flare our ribs. Back down towards our knees, and we can bring our arms slightly wider so they don't touch our knees. And then coming up, a little bit of squeeze, and then curling back down and back to the starting position. And back over your head, keeping your knees and hips at right angles if you can. Back down towards your knees, head and chest come up, and then back down again to the starting position. And again, arms come up above head, back towards midline, head and chest come up as arms come down, and then curling back down to the floor. And again, up above head, keeping nice and controlled movements. And down towards the knees, head and neck come up. And back down to the middle. 2 more times. Up above your head, back to the middle. Head and neck come up and slowly curl back down. 1 more time. Arms come up, back to the midline. Head and chest come up, curling back down, and bring both your legs down and your arms down, and take a deep breath in through here. Okay, we're going to come onto our sides now. So just resting our head on our arms, keeping our heels in line with our tailbone, bending up the knees, and we're going to just straighten the top leg. So we're going to come up into our single leg abductions. So keeping your toes pointing forward, we're going to come up as high as we can, and then we're going to lower down, 2, 3, and relax. So nice controlled. And again, lifting that leg up as high as you can and controlling it, down, 2, 3, and relax. And again, lifting, down, 2, 3, relax. Coming back up, down, 2, 3, relax. And again, coming back up, down, 2, 3, relax. Good, 3 more. Down, 2, 3, and again, up, down, 2, 3, and 1 more. Coming back up, down, 2, 3, And bringing your legs together. Give yourselves a bit of a rub if you need to. Okay, what we're going to do for our next exercise, we're going to straighten that leg again. We're going to make sure that our hips are nice and stacked, one on top of each other, so we're not rolling too far forward or too far back. We want to be in that middle. We're going to straighten that leg. We're going to carry it out in front of us as far as you can, and we're going to control it back down to our starting position. So if you're about 20 to 30 centimeters off the floor, bring that leg forward in front of us and control it back and together. And again, coming forward, nice and controlled, controlling it back and together. And again, lifting through there, controlling it forward and back and together. And again, lifting, controlling, and coming back and together. 2 more. Lifting, controlling, coming back and together. And 1 more. Bringing that leg up, coming as far forward as we can. Then coming back and bringing our legs together. Give yourselves a bit of a rub if you need to. Okay, we're going to do the same exercises on the other side, so I'll get everyone to turn onto their opposite side. So again, knees bent, feet in line with your tailbone, hips stacked on top of each other. Top leg is straight. So we're going to nice high position and then controlling it down to the floor. And again, lifting all the way up and down, 2, 3. And again, lifting, down, 2, 3. Good. Number 4, coming up, nice and high. Down, 2, 3. Good. Number 5. Down, 2, 3. Good. Number 6. Down, 2, 3. Good. Number 7. Down, 2, 3. And last one, number 8. Down, 2, 3, and together. All right, rub your hips if you need to. We're going to move on to our second exercise. So keeping that top knee straight, we're just going to carry our leg out in front of us. Nice and controlled. Try and keep it the same height off the floor all the way around and back together. And again, nice and controlled forward and back, controlled together. Number 3, controlling that leg forward and back. Good. Number 4, floating that leg forward and back. Number 5, keeping that leg up, just like you're shining a glass table with the inside of your leg. And together. Number 6, nice and controlled forward. Good. Number 7. Nice and controlled. Back together. And last one, number 8. Nice and controlled. And back together. All right, give yourselves a nice deep breath in and relax your pelvic floor. Okay, we're just going to move on to our cat-cows, and then we're going to do our child's pose. So hands shoulder width apart, knees hip width apart, sinking in through the middle of our spine, bringing our head up and our tailbone, and curling our head and tailbone back under, and coming up to the middle of our back. And the other way. Nice, good stretch. And back under. And stretching back out. And coming back under. One more time. And coming back under. All right, from here, we just want to sit on our heels, coming down into our child's pose, separating your knees a little bit and reaching forward. Just relaxing through this stretch. All right, coming onto your backs, so we can come to our pelvic floor exercise part. All right, we're going to do our pelvic floor pyramid. So we're going to start off with 5 strong contractions. So we want to lift and hold and lower. So we're going to lift and lower, 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 all the way down. Nice deep breath in here, relaxing your pelvic floor. All right, now we're going to do 5 quick contractions. So we're going to start, and the tempo is going to be lift, lower, lift, lower. So we want to lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, and completely relax. Taking in a nice deep breath again. All right, now we're going to lift and hold for 5 seconds. So we're going to lift and hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax completely. Nice deep breath in. And again, lifting our pelvic floor, holding for 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Again, a deep breath in through here. All right, we're going to move on to our quick brisk contractions again, our 5 contractions. So we're going to start, we're going to lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, and lower. Completely relaxing and taking a breath through that. And our last one to finish off, we're going to do 5 strong contractions. So we're going to lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower, lift, and completely relax. Just a few deep breaths in to finish. And that takes us to the end of our floor and core class. Thank you for joining me.